All right, and we're going to kick off our media availability for post-race here at the 49th Annual AAA 400 Drive for Autism. We are now joined by our third-place finisher in today's race, Daniel Suarez, driver of the number 19 Stanley Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. So, Daniel, this was obviously a career day for you. We talked a lot about momentum in the lead-up to this race for you guys. Had 3 top 11 finishes coming into today's race. What's been the difference? You guys came out of the box strong, finished the race strong today, and had your best ever finish on an oval in the Cup Series. So talk a little bit about what the difference has been.
Yeah, well, just overall, just very proud of my team. I would like to say that the entire year we have had good speed. Pretty much everywhere we go, top 10s, top 5 sometimes, cars. We just haven't been able to get the deal done, and especially in the first month and a half of the season, just struggling a lot. But now, just very proud of my team. I feel like I was putting a lot of pressure on myself earlier in the season as well, putting a lot of pressure on the team to try to get the results. And in the last month and a half, couple months, it's been more relaxed, just trying to have fun and trying to get things, work by itself. And definitely things are working better that way. So just very proud of my team, Stanley, Toyota, Joe Gibbs Racing, TRD Engines, everyone that obviously makes this possible to come to the racetrack every weekend and perform the way that we do.
Obviously, you're knocking on the door of your first win after a performance like today. What do you think is kind of that last piece that you guys need to get to that next level?
I feel like we keep running the way that we're running today, top 5, top 10 all day long. Pretty much all day long we were running in the top 10. I think it can happen anytime. We just have to somehow beat the 4 car. The 4 car today was in a different league, but normally if you can run in the top 5, you can have a shot anytime on those restarts, crazy restarts and stuff. But like I said, overall very proud of my team. I feel like we are moving in the right direction. We just have to keep it up.
All right, we are now also joined by Clint Boyer, driver of the number 14 Haas Automation Demo Day Ford for Stewart Haas Racing. So, Clint, obviously another strong day for the Stewart Haas cars all day long. You and Kevin competed all day for the lead. What's been the difference so far this year, especially in the 14 camp? You guys have showed a lot of speed this year compared to last year. So what's been the difference on that side?
Well, I mean, a lot of things. Obviously, all across the board, we've worked. We had one car last year that was running well, and it doesn't do an organization very much if you only have one car running well. And just reorganized, Zippy and Brett and everybody reorganized. Some people, Gibson, coming off the road and working in the shop and collaborating amongst the teams and making sure all those cars are ready for battle when they go to the racetrack, and kind of the same. That's the biggest thing is when you go to the track, you need to be able to bounce off each other and work with one another. And sometimes, if something's different or whatever, it's hard to do that. This year, we've been working well. Every single weekend we're pushing each other to be better, and our setups are all relatively the same. And it shows on the racetrack, and the guys Booga and I have done such a way better job of communicating, and all that comes with success. There's make no mistake about it. Those things come with success, and we've had that so far this year, and it makes all the communication and everything a lot better.
All right, we'll open things up to the floor here. Please state your name and affiliation, and we'll get started with our second and third place finishers. Bob, we'll start with you.
Bob Hawkers, ESPN. I have one for each. First, Clint, did you have a feeling Kevin would be that strong after the rain delay, or did your car go away a little bit more than you thought?
We had a really good car all weekend long, and I would say sheer speed-wise, Kevin was a little bit better. And that's a pretty good man to have happy right there. I know, right? You know what I mean? But I mean, I needed a run in clean air to work on my car. That was the first time that we took off on stickers in that clean air, and the cars just drive way better, way different. You can carry momentum and do things that you can't do mired back there in traffic. Battled through a lot of adversity today, having that bad pit stop and having to come back in and go to the back and battle back up through them. I mean, this is a fun racetrack. This is a challenging racetrack, very competitive racetrack, one of the most competitive and challenging tracks I think we go to. The balance of your car is just so important, balancing those front tires to the rear, and you got to enjoy places like this. If you don't, it's a long day. But certainly, our Fords are good, and it's fun to be up in the limelight.
And for Daniel, in Spanish, can you talk about
What are you going to do with that?
Hey, we have a lot of verticals at ESPN.
Oh.
Can you
Only if you interpret it.
can you talk about getting your first top 5 on an oval and what that means for you and your career?
It was because of Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo, Spanish deal here.
I have no idea what you just said.
Cinco de Mayo.
You did good.
You know what Cinco de Mayo means?
That's not, no.
Cinco de Mayo?
Mayo?
Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo?
Cinco de Mayo.
It means you get drunk, doesn't it? I think.
Pues bueno,
Always been in Kansas,
en general, obviamente, contento. El equipo ha hecho muy buen trabajo. El primer mes y medio de carrera del año fue un poco difícil para todo el equipo, un poco de inconsistencia y algunas cosas que no estaban yendo a nuestro favor. Teníamos velocidad, pero no la podíamos aprovechar. Y bueno, en general, contento de que el equipo y yo estamos trabajando en el mismo canal y las cosas están dando de una forma muy positiva. En el último mes y medio hemos tenido buenos resultados, consistentes y buena velocidad, y creo que eso se está demostrando en la pista. ¿Do you agree, Bob?
Arriba. I don't know. Take that, Bob.
We'll go to Jessica next, then we'll go to Mike in the back.
Jessica Rupp from NASCAR.com for Clint. You held Kevin off for a few laps, but when you see him coming closer and closer, you're his teammate, you know what he has. So what are you thinking when you see him that close in your rearview mirror?
Well, I was holding my own, and as loose as I was, and I about lost it off of 2, and I was obviously going for a win and giving it my all, but I knew you just can't buzz the tires like that on a track like this, and every time you do that, it's a step, and it wasn't 2 laps after that, and he was all over me, and then I was in trouble. When you're loose like that, getting into the corner, and those guys get behind you, you're in trouble. Then obviously when you're loose and they get to your outside, you got to give it to them. They're going to turn you around, but he's obviously a champion of this sport, and you hate to lose him. You know what I mean? We can beat him at this racetrack. We come back in the fall, and when all the marbles are on the line, maybe we can.
I was excited to see that. I said,
He's just
man.
hoping we'd wreck.
We'll go to Mike.
Mike Embry, USA Today. Clint, you guys had like 40 minutes during the rain there to talk about this. Did you throw out some wild ideas about what you possibly could do? You knew he was coming.
Well, I mean, you knew he was going to be one that you were going to have to beat for the win. But, I mean, it's a team effort. The guys did a great job of we put the pressure on them, and they got us back out in the lead and gave me the opportunity. That's all you can ask for as a team. Again, if I had the day to do over again, I'd have liked to not had that pit stop and hopefully had some runs in clean air and be able to adjust your car that way. All day long, we was adjusting accordingly to where we were, and that was mired in traffic. And you get out front, and the old girl just turns a lot better, and you need to make adjustments according to that. And we didn't have that luxury as he did. But like I said, sheer speed-wise, he was a little bit a beat better than us all weekend long, but hey, man, we ran second. This is a huge confidence and a momentum builder for our 14 team, for our organization. I think Kurt finished 5th, so that's 3, the 4 in the top 5, and that 4th one right behind. So just proud of everybody's effort, proud of the opportunity, and excited to go to my home track next weekend and the rest of the year. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And Daniel, you obviously had good qualifying. You finished strong today. When was your car best today? At what point of the race?
I think actually by the end of the race. Actually, like just Clint mentioned, when you're in the front, the car just came alive for whatever reason. A lot of clean air and clean racetrack, and the car is just faster. I was running most of the day in between sometimes in the top 5, in the top 10 all day long, and the car was strong running there. Just going away a little bit too soon. My short run speed wasn't great, but once I was in the front, I was able to overcome that with clean air. So I feel like we right there at the end for sure we had a top 5 car. But just overall proud of my guys. We had a rough first month and a half of the season, and in the last 5 weeks or so, we've been moving in the right direction. So very proud of my team, Stanley, Jogi Racing, Harris, Toyota, and everyone that makes these results possible.
Go over here to the right.
Hey, John Haverland with ESPN Albuquerque. For both of you guys, it looks like the rubber was pretty late into the track, before the weather. I was just wondering if it kind of felt any different after the weather delay.
It's a weird rubber. It's a weird tire that we have with Goodyear on this concrete track. It really puts it down fast. I mean, we saw that even Friday in practices, with the trucks and the Xfinity. And then as soon as the caution comes out, it's like our cars are vacuum sweepers. I mean, you can go out there and we pick it up, and it's a white track, and within 5 laps, you're right back, fighting the same challenges as it rubbers up again on the entry and exit and through the middle. But that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it unique. Very unique racetrack from everything we go to. When you run that bottom, you squirt the middle because the corners are so long, and you got to lift. You got to have a car that rotates. As you're out there racing with everybody all day long, you can see, the cars that do that well, and the ones that don't, and then you can see them starting to free up to try to make it do that, and then they're loose and it won't turn. That's fun for me, and what makes this place unique and challenging.
Well, I think Clint just hit it right there. I like this place a lot because how everything changed from the start of the run to the end of the run, and it's funny what Clint just mentioned about the vacuum, because that's exactly how it looks from driving the race car, because it's black, and then 2 laps after, everything is clean. If it's not clean, you see a lot of lines from the tires. So definitely changed a lot, and because of that, I think that makes as a driver, it makes it a lot of fun how you have to adapt to those situations.
All right. Any more questions down here on the floor before we move to the box?
Good job.
Go on, bud.
Any questions at the press box?
Yeah, one for Daniel. ChrisKnightCatchFence.com. Daniel, how do you feel about going to Kansas next weekend?
What was that one? I didn't hear you.
How do you feel about going to Kansas next weekend?
That's Kansas,
What he
God's
say?
country.
What he say?
How do you feel about going to Kansas next weekend and keeping the momentum up?
Yeah, I'm excited, right? That's a cool city right there.
It'll probably blow 40 miles an hour, the wind, and the track will be really fast.
I like that. I think Clint is excited to go there. But yeah, I'm excited to go to Kansas. It's been actually a good place for me as well. Very fast, obviously. And looking forward to go there. It's always good when you have a good result and you have to go next week to try to match that or go even better. So definitely proud of my team, and right now I'm looking forward to work with my team and trying to go to Kansas just as strong as we did on this weekend.
Any more questions in the box? Nope. All right. Thanks, guys. All right, and we are going to continue our media availability around the AAA 400 with 2 members of the race-winning organization at Stewart Haas Racing, crew chief Rodney Childers, as well as team owner Tony Stewart. Rodney, we'll start with you. Obviously, a lot has been made about the speed in the 4-car this year, but this is not the first year that you guys have come out of the box strong since you've been together. But it seems like the results have just been different this year. 4 wins, it's the strongest start that you guys have had on the results side of things. What has made 2018 different?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just having a year under our belt, to work with Ford and all that stuff, to get our tools better, to get our cars better, to understand the aero side of it more. I feel like that a lot of it is just confidence, when you have confidence in the cars and the tools and everything going on. I think the biggest thing is just all the cylinders are clicking right now, and they're working together. And somebody asked me a minute ago about about the same thing. And the biggest thing is, we haven't went back and talked about the races that we've won. We go back and we talk about how to get better every week, and we build better race cars, and they build better engines, and we've done better on pit road. And to keep this going, we're going to have to get a lot better every single week, and to keep it to where it needs to be, when the championship comes around. So, like I said, everybody's working hard. All the guys are building great cars, and Kevin's doing a great job here at the racetrack.
And Tony, we'll move on to you. Obviously, we saw today that it wasn't just the 4 that's been running well. It's the 14, it's the 41, it's the 10. From an owner's perspective, how do you keep that momentum across the organization all season long, knowing that teams like the 78 and the Gibbs cars are going to be fast throughout the season? So how do you maintain that throughout the whole organization?
Well, I think it's days like today that build the momentum in the organization. I mean, it's another milestone for us to have 3 cars in the top 5 today. So, we're proud of everybody. It's like Rodney said. I mean, to be in our second year of building our own chassis, and our aero department, I feel like's on point right now. Just every aspect of it, everybody's working hard, and it's about evolution. I mean, it's just you have to keep evolving and keep pushing the envelope. And the great thing is, I think the thing that's really easy for organizations, and I think Brett Favre said this in a quote once, is that success is kind of one of the worst things that can happen to you, is because some guys feel like they've got where they need to be, and they lose that intensity. And that's something that I feel like our group is really good about, it, of not losing that focus on the fact that we're a technology-driven sport, and we have to keep pushing all the time to keep finding more things to go faster and be better than we were the week before. And Rodney really hit on it there. It's, we go back and we celebrate the wins, but we, instead of looking behind us at what we did, we look forward at what we're trying to accomplish and what we're trying to do the next week. And that's something that, from the ownership side, and, for Gene and I, we're really proud of our group. I mean, Greg Zipadelli, and, the aero group, and the chassis department, and everybody at Roush Yates Engines, and, Mobile One that works really hard with Roush Yates. I mean, it's just a bunch of people that really have we kind of have the eye on the prize, so to speak. And, it's days like today that, when you can get 4 cars that are running as well as these 4 did today, it's an awesome feeling. So, it's just, we'll high-five each other at the shop tomorrow, but at the same time, we're digging for the next week and trying to get ready for Kansas now, and try to do the same thing again next weekend.
All right, well, we'll open things up here to the floor. We'll start with Tom in the back, or Mike in the back, and then we'll go to Bob.
Mike Hembry, USA Today. Tony, watching Kevin drive this race today, it's hard to believe it took him 30 times to win here. You won here almost immediately when you were driving. Could that have been just mostly about the cars, or does it take even some of the best drivers a while to click in at some tracks?
I don't know. When I was driving, this was one of the hardest places I felt like to win at. I mean, it's, especially, for a concrete track, you don't think that temperature really means a lot, but it's really big here for some reason, and not so much at Bristol, but it seems like for a concrete track, this place is more temperature sensitive than some of the asphalt tracks we go to, and then especially when you get a rain delay like that, where the rubber kind of gets cleaned off. This track is really hard to maintain the balance on. So it at times can get really frustrating. So I think for drivers, I mean, really there's no drivers that back into a win here. I mean, it's guys that have a lot of experience and figure it out. So just Kevin's so good here. It's just he knows what his balance needs to be in happy hour to be good in the race. And like I say, it's just from the beginning of the race to the end of the race, the cars change so much here that you have to really kind of stay 2 steps ahead of it to be right at the end of the day.
Then we'll go to Bob.
Bob Hockers, ESPN. Tony, how big an impact has Tony Gibson had with this new role that he's in, and exactly kind of what is he doing?
Well, he's kind of the floor babysitter, so to speak. I mean, kind of joking about it, but I mean, he's made a huge impact. I mean, you really need somebody of his caliber on the floor to really tie this all together. And I think that's really what we've seen here is, having him tie all 4 of these teams together at the shop and kind of watch over everything and make sure that we're staying the course. I mean, it's easy to, when you got 4 crew chiefs and 4 engineers, it's easy to kind of get going 4 different directions if you're not careful. And I think that's something that Tony's been really good at, is kind of tying it all together and, making sure that we're all working together as one unit at the shop. And then when we go to the racetrack, it's, same philosophy that I drove under when we were at Gibbs, was that we were one unit at the shop, and when we went to the race team, then we were separate race teams, but we still work together. And I think that's what Tony's really been good about at the shop, is just kind of tying all 4 of these teams together and keeping the general focus of what we're trying to accomplish together.
All right, we'll go up here to the front.
Kyle McFadden, theracingexperts.com, for Tony, and Ronnie can add his perspective on this as well. This is now the 6th win in the last 14 races for your team, Tony, and you also have 3 drivers in the top 6 in the point standings. When you switched to Ford in 2017, is this kind of trajectory what you pictured?
Well, I don't know that you really set a benchmark on where you want to be. I mean, the goal is just to go forward, and but the hard thing is to set a benchmark of where it's actually going to go. But I think from the ownership side, I mean, this is days like today are what you dream of. I mean, to have 3 in the top 5 and to have the start to the season that we've had, it's the partnership with Ford's been amazing so far, and the support that we've been given and their dedication to what they want the results to be. I mean, it definitely shows, and it's it's the support that we need. So we're proud of that. We're proud of the engine program. Ford's worked with Roush Yates for a long time on the engines, and to have a unique scenario like we have with Doug Yates, and to work with Mobile One to create our own package is something that we really haven't had that opportunity in the past. So it's it's a great partnership so far, and I feel like Rodney says, it took a year to really get to where we could refine on what we built on the first year. I mean, I think we were really happy with the way last year went, our first year out of the box with Ford, but to have a winter where we're not really overhauling the entire program and able to sit there and take what we have and refine it, I think it's made this year extremely productive.
All right, any more questions on the floor here for Rodney and Tony? And any questions in the box?
Did you meet him?
No questions.
Did he introduce you?
No.
He didn't introduce himself?
No.
I made him introduce himself to the whole media center. I said,
Who are you?
I'm Matt. I'm kind of new to IMC, so Kevin had not seen me before, so I did a little introduction the other day.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on.
Moving on.
Anyway, we are now joined by our race winner, Kevin Harvick, winner of the AAA 400 Drive for Autism here at Dover International Speedway. Kevin, obviously a great battle towards the end of that race with Clint. You guys battled throughout the entire day. What's going through your mind when you're battling a teammate like that? And talk us a little bit through how you got past him.
Yeah, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I've talked so much trash to him all weekend, and he's already told me the karma train is going to run me over when it started raining. But we had a fun weekend, just because when you come to Dover, I feel like Clint is one of the people that you're going to have to beat, just because of the fact that he's been so good for so many years here. So to be able to race with Clint for a win, and is for me, like I told him, I said, if I'm not going to win this race today, I said, you need to win this race. So get up there and go after it, because at that point we didn't know what was going to go after happen during the pit stop. But to be able to race with him is a lot of fun, and I'd much rather keep it within the house than racing with somebody else. But it was fun with Clint, and had a really good battle there with Brad for about 50 laps at the end of the second stage, and we went back and forth, and finally were able to get by him. But that was a lot of fun.
All right, we'll open things up to the floor here. Any questions for Kevin? Start with Jessica.
Jessica Rev of NASCAR.com. Kevin, you mentioned in Victory Lane that with the Miles the Monster trophy, you said, hey, Keelan, don't break the arm off this one. Did he break the arm off the last one?
He did, yeah. So Miles is pretty popular, as you can imagine, with the kids, and so we took the last the first one that we won. We took it home and put it in his playroom. And I said, you can keep it in your playroom. So first day I came home and he had the arm broken half off of the thing. So you know, when I talked to him after the race, he said, "Dad, you bringing that trophy home?" I said, "I'm bringing it home, but do not break the arm off of this one." So I have no idea how he broke it, but it is hollow. So he must have landed on it or hit something with it.
Where are you going to put this one so he doesn't break it?
I'm sorry?
Where are you going to put this one so he doesn't break it?
Oh, he can break it. It's fine. Yeah. We'll put it in the same spot. We'll put it in the same spot in the playroom for a while. We'll have to go hose it off first because it smells like beer. So it's always strange trying to explain to people why his playroom smells like beer. So we'll yeah. But no, we'll clean it up and put it in his playroom. So we glued the other one back together. It's fine.
All right. Any more questions in the back? Oh, we'll go to Bob up here in the front.
Bob Hawkers, ESPN. The TV commentators were saying they felt you were kind of the team to beat from that first run in practice on Friday. Did you have a similar feeling? And if you did, what's it like to kind of have that feeling and kind of come through and win a race?
It's actually a lot harder, believe it or not, because you don't want to screw it up. You know, I felt like we had a really good car from the time we unloaded. I think you could tell that from where we qualified. That's usually not my strong point, qualifying up here, and to be able to qualify on the front row. And we had just 3 great practices, and everything just kind of fell into place. And when they dropped the green flag, it was definitely still good. So it was just one of those weekends where the car was spot on from the time we got here, and the guys are just doing a great job. Everybody is just so detail oriented right now, and I feel like we're playoff racing on a weekly basis, and if you're going to win a bunch of races, that's what you have to do.
Go up here in the front.
Kevin, obviously everybody looking at the weather forecast considering the past weekend, did you view really that break, that 40-minute break, as more of a help or a hindrance or really a momentum shift at any point?
Yeah, you never really know how it's going to go after they blow the whole racetrack off and there's no rubber on the racetrack anymore. And you know, for me, when we dropped the green flag, we got to about lap 12 was just, for whatever reason, it was the button on my car, and it would really allow me to start opening the racetrack up and move around the racetrack. And I could tell that Clint was loose. My car was at that particular point really good. And I wanted to move up the racetrack and try to put as much pressure on him as I could, because I felt like the more rubber that got on the racetrack, the less the front was going to turn through the center of the corner. At that particular time, it was turning really good, and I could keep the power down, and I could see that he was loose. So we wound up being a lot looser than we were the whole race, the last run, but it sounded like the whole field was. So, yeah, it worked out fine, and we were able to manage the car and take advantage of the first 15 or 20 laps there to get the lead.
And we'll go to Hembry next. In the back, right.
Mike Hembry, USA Today. Kevin, nobody watching this race would have guessed it took you 30 times to win here. Was that streak more about the cars you didn't have, or the circumstances, or what?
No, I mean, we were always just not very good up here. And when I started at Stewart-Haas Racing, one of Rodney's main goals was to run good up here, because he knew how much it frustrated me and felt like that we had a lot to draw from at that particular time with the having the partnership with Hendrick and the success that Stewart-Haas itself had up here. So from the very first day that we rolled in here in 2014, we ran well and have had chances to win pretty much every race since we've come up here. So I like driving here. We just never had the speed that it took at the beginning of my career to do what we've been doing over the last few years.
All right. Any more questions down here on the floor? And we'll go up to the box.
No questions.
All right. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you,
Congrats.
guys.